A lot of different opinions on this, but the Bengals traded for Joe Flacco yesterday, and it was basically a 5th and 6th round pick swap with the Cleveland Browns. The Browns unload Flacco after Dylan Gabriel played well in London. I didn't realize until I looked at the day after stats. First quarterback this season to throw multiple touchdowns against a Brian Flores defense. And went back and rewatched a lot of Gabriel's throws. I watched the game live, rewatched the throws. He played really well.
He's a good player. I mean, I don't know. I think like what's gotten lost in all the Shador nonsense is like this is a guy who looks like he's going to play in the league for 15 years. Now, I'm not going to say he's ever going to be anybody's long-term answer at the position, but like he sure looks to me like a guy who is going to last, you know?
Right. Now, is it one of those deals where I don't think that Cleveland necessarily cares because one of the texts that I got yesterday, because when something happens, you just kind of start having conversations with people in and around the league. And someone was like, well, it leaves the team very desperately without a mentor. And then you're one snap away from having to play Shedeur Sanders, whether you like it or not. And I do think that that's probably the downside of this trade if you're Cleveland, because Flacco is a consummate professional. But I think the flip side of that is I really don't think Cleveland cares. They're 1-4. The goal here is to build draft equity for next season. This is a rebuild, and this is the kind of thing you do during a rebuild.
Yeah, and I think I can't get it out of my head. I don't think this trade had anything to do with Deshaun Watson. Let me start there, okay? But he's going to be cleared, I think, before the end of the season. And I think he's going to be cleared with like a healthy amount of the season left. I've heard a lot about like wanting to get a look at Shedeur Sanders. Okay. So I did some research today. This is for a question in the mailbag. You can see the mailbag on the website later today. So I went through the NFL. I went through the 32 teams and I looked at how many quarterbacks, how many teams came into the season with a former first round pick starting at quarterback. Do you know what that number was?
I don't.
26.
Wow.
So 26 of the 32 teams came into the season with a former first rounder starting at quarterback. The 6 who didn't were the Eagles, the Giants, the Cowboys, the Saints, the Niners, and the Raiders, right? So out of those 6, the Giants have since turned to a first rounder, right? So they've got Dart in the lineup. The Niners have actually gone to a first rounder too for a very different reason. Mac Jones is starting there, right? And so if you look at those 6, though, only 2 of those 6 have homegrown long-term answers at the position that were drafted outside of the first round. So that's three teams. Dak in Dallas, Jalen Hurts in Philly, Brock Purdy in San Francisco. So here's my point with this, right? Is like, do you want to get a look and see if there's something there with Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders? Sure. What are the chances that either of those guys are the guy? And I just like look at this and look at like the most recent history of it. There are 3 teams in the NFL who have long-term answers on their roster drafted outside of the first round of that position. 3. That's it. 3 out of 32. So what are the chances that Dylan Gabriel or Shedeur Sanders are that long-term answer? And here's the kicker for you. All right. Here's where I want you to answer this. Is it a better chance than the chance that Deshaun Watson could reprise could revive his career and turn into something?
What a good question. Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, is there a better chance that Dylan Gabriel or Shedeur Sanders is the Browns quarterback 2 years from now, or Deshaun Watson?
Oh, how many years does Watson have left on his contract that they have to pay him for?
He has one.
He has one after.
Well, he has one. He has one after this year. Yeah. So like 2 years from now, like, and I'm just saying, like, I don't think any, like, I don't think the Browns starting quarterback for 2026 is on the roster right now. Let me be clear about that. Right.
Okay.
Like, I don't think their starting quarterback for next year is on the roster right now, but
it's Baker Mayfield. No,
I mean, if you're talking about wanting to get a look at somebody and like, you've already sunk so much money into Deshaun Watson, right? And the team's not going anywhere this year. Wouldn't you be tempted just to get a free look at what it looks like if you're already on the hook for $46 million next year?
The value, we've seen San Francisco be able to do it. Now, the timing is a little weird because you're going to have a majority. Let's say that the Browns continue this kind of ascent with this rookie class and Dylan Gabriel ends up being a player.
Yeah,
The timing's going to be a little weird because you would want to have to pay, I think, some of your. Now, I guess it could be Legion of Boom-esque. And I'm not saying that the Browns are going to be Legion of Boom-esque, but maybe that's your timeline where all these guys kind of grow together and you have a bunch of fourth, fifth, sixth round picks that are really valuable and that create something for you. And the centerpiece of that is a third round quarterback that you can use all that savings to supplement. I mean, that lottery ticket is worth it to explore
sure.
when it's a dead season anyway, right?
Right. Right. So, like, I mean, it's possible. And if Dylan Gabriel ascends and you start to see that in him, then sure. Yes. I don't know that Dylan Gabriel's that guy. I don't know. I mean, I look at it like you're already spending $46 million for next year on Deshaun Watson. You already have Dylan Gabriel under contract for the next 3 years after this one. I'm just saying, like, I think it would be tempting to get a look.
Yeah.
And look, I think chances are nothing becomes of it, but like, why wouldn't you want to at least get a look at that? And would that look be more valuable than getting a look at one of the rookies based on what we've seen across the NFL with guys like Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold, Geno Smith over the years? Like, I don't know. I mean, like, I just think it's like, I think eventually that's going to be a question we're going to be asking.
On the flip side, I was talking to a couple people about this yesterday, and I don't know how I'm in the minority on this. I love this for the Bengals. And here's the reason why I do. I can't guarantee you that Joe Flacco is going to be good. I can't guarantee you that he's going to help. I mean, we saw Jake Browning last week throw, literally, by next gen stat standards, the most improbable touchdown of the season. 12% chance of completion. And whatever. I have a little miniature rant on Amazon numbers that I'll get to in a second here. But he like, Jake Browning is more athletic than Joe Flacco. He just is. And he knows Jamar Chase and T. Higgins better than Joe Flacco. I think this might be an offensive scheme problem, but we'll find out. But either way, what I wrote about this yesterday was we have lost the plot in terms of owners. Like, this is a semi-desperation move by the Bengals. And that's awesome. That's what we should be doing as owners and personnel people. Like, you should be operating the way that an 11-year-old operates his Madden team when a good player gets hurt. Like, you should go out and try to trade for the best available player at that position to continue your chances of succeeding right now. And the Bengals have pushed everything into the now. And granted, I praised Woody Johnson, of all people, for trading for Devontae Adams last year. Okay. So that's another side of this same side of the coin here. But, like, you're all in on Trey Hendrickson. You're all in on T. Higgins. You're all in on Jamar Chase. You're all in on Shamar Stewart. Now, you're like, this is great. This is how you should act. You're 2-3, and you still believe that you can win the division. You're going for it. Good. Like, we live in a league now.
I mean, I advocated for trading for Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
I really believe this. Like, and again, this is for me born of coming up covering the Brady Manning rivalry and this belief that those franchises, this would go on forever. And we saw what happened to the Colts post Andrew Luck, and we saw what happened to the Patriots post Tom Brady. Neither of those franchises handled those situations particularly well, right? The opportunity to enter the playoffs with Joe Burrow as your starting quarterback is gold and needs to be treated that way.
Exactly.
And if you have any chance of sneaking into the playoffs, especially this year, when it looks like there could be some kinks in the armor with some of the best teams in the AFC, I mean, look, if you are, let's just say you're 6-6 and you're getting Joe Burrow back at the beginning of December, and now it's at Buffalo, Baltimore, Miami, Arizona, Cleveland. You can get in. You can get
Right?
in. If you split those first two games and run off the last three, now it's 4-1. Now you're 10-7. Okay. And so we have to find 4 wins if we're going to get them to 6-6 by then, right? Packers are the tough one this week. Could they split with Pittsburgh? Sure.
Yes.
Right? Could they beat the Jets?
Yeah. I mean,
Could they beat the Bears?
you and I in your old Ohio State sprint football team might give the Jets a run for their money at this point, Albert. So
Could they beat the Patriots?
yes.
So that's 4. Okay. So now you're already there, and that's with the Baltimore game on Thanksgiving night to go. So I feel like and it sucks because they have not looked good the last few weeks, right? So it's hard to like keep hope alive for a team that has looked the way that they looked the last few weeks. But I don't think we can overstate how much quarterback has held them back. And I loved the Jake Browning story a couple of years ago. But someone pointed this out to me. I looked it up, and it's the case. There was a throw on Sunday that was picked off that legitimately could have been picked off by 3 different Lions players. And I'm not kidding. I tweeted it, right? I can't remember who picked it off. Whoever it was picked the ball off, and there were 2 guys right behind him, like 2 Lions guys right behind him, who, if somehow it slips through this one guy's hands, one of the other guys is getting it, right? And I think that was like a flashpoint for the Bengals, in that they felt like Browning's arm was dying out, which there wasn't great arm strength there to begin with, and like he wasn't seeing it the way he saw it a couple of years ago for whatever reason. I have the same concerns everybody else does about Joe Flacco playing behind that line. However, you have all of these skill guys, and if you can find a way to just get the ball out of the quarterback's hand fast, which I think with those receivers you can do that. You can game it up a certain
Should be
way.
able to.
You should be able to. With a guy with that sort of arm strength, you can survive. And I just think that this is not about fixing the Bengals. They're not going to play at the level they would if Joe Burrow was in there, right?
Yeah.
But you look at those first 2 wins now. Doesn't the Jacksonville win look a little different than it did?
Absolutely.
Right? So they beat Jacksonville.
And the Cleveland one does
and
too.
And the Cleveland
Albert.
one's against a really good Cleveland defense.
Yeah.
On the road.
Yeah.
All right. And then Burrow gets hurt, and we know the rest. I'm like, again, they got it handed to them by the Vikings and the Broncos, and there's no doubt about that. And the Lions too. That game was not nearly as close as the score indicated. But if they can just get like an average level of quarterback play, and I think the other thing people got to remember, like the situation Flacco is in Cleveland in that offense is not the same as the one he's entering in Cincinnati, And I think too often we look at this like, oh, he can't play anymore. Like, this is not the same situation. All right. So I just look at this, and I like, me personally, I think Flacco gives them a puncher's chance. Maybe not this Sunday in Green Bay. That's a tough one.
Yeah, Micah Parsons might eat in that one. Yeah.
But going forward, like I look at like what Joe looked like when the Colts had all of their guys last year, right? Like pretty competent, right? I just think like if you're good enough around a guy like Joe Flacco, he's smart enough, he's got the experience, he'll figure it out. And I don't mean figure it out like, okay, like now all of a sudden you're going to get top half of the league quarterback play, but he can give you middle of the league quarterback play, I think, with what's around him there.
My question is this,
and I love it. Like, by the way, I love it. It's a move Cincinnati has historically not made. So thank you, Bengals, for treating the opportunity to get Joe Burrow into the AFC bracket.
Yes.
Like gold. Like,
yeah.
You deserve credit for that 100%.
Choosing work boots used to mean sacrificing comfort or durability. If they felt good, they didn't last. And if they lasted, they wrecked your feet. Brunt thought that was BS, so they built tough boots that feel great from day one. No break-in, no sore feet, because people out there doing the real work shouldn't have to choose between comfort and durability. Guys, I got the Marin boot sent, and I'll tell you what, it felt like my favorite pair of sneakers right out of the box on the feet. But then you bring them out, it was doing a little patchwork on the stone wall behind the house the other day, needed my tough boots, and I felt totally comfortable and secure. And let's be real, you can also just throw them on with a pair of jeans, and they look great when you wear them out. These are no doubt the most comfortable work boots I've ever worn, and they're built to perform. Whether you need waterproof, safety toe, soft toe pull-on, or lace-up, they have options that can handle whatever job site you're walking into. And Brunt stands behind what they make. You can wear them to work, and if they're not right for you, send them back. I don't know any other brand doing that. That's a company that believes in their product. Brunt isn't just about work boots. They offer a full range of high-performance gear built for the tough jobs. I got the hat with the little pencil holder in it, too, when I'm doing a little bit of work in the basement. From heavy-duty work pants, weather-resistant jackets, Brunt designs durable, reliable workwear to keep you protected and productive in any condition. Brunt was tired of the workwear brands out there cutting corners. You work too hard to be stuck in uncomfortable boots that don't hold up, so they built something better. Boots that are insanely comfortable and built for any job site. For a limited time, our listeners get 10% off at Brunt when you use code MMQB at checkout. Just head to bruntworkwear.com and use the code MMQB. You're good to go. And after you order, they'll ask where you heard about it. Do us a favor and tell them it was from this show. I like this because the other reason I like this is I think this is another narrative busting thing. And listen, I understand that the Bengals in the past have been the Bengals. But ever since they've been gifted a second chance at Carson Palmer, which is Joe Burrow, they have been so desperate to make this work. Okay. We have an indoor practice facility. We have naming rights sold for the stadium to generate the money. And you can say, oh, well, it's not the richest franchise, whatever. They paid T. Higgins, they paid Jamar Chase, which didn't really make financial sense. And especially the way that they paid them didn't really make financial sense.
He gave Hendrickson a huge bump.
But even going back to when Zach Taylor got there, you led the league in free agency spending. After Joe Burrow got hurt the first time, they went out and got Lyle Collins, Ted Karras, and I think there might have been another big offensive line free agent that year. And then
Orlando Brown the year
after you got hurt again, you panicked and you got Orlando Brown. All this team is doing is behaving exactly the way that people say that the Bengals don't traditionally behave. And I think that this is another example of that where.
Right. And even like on defense, you know what I mean? Like they did spend on Chidobe Awuzie and Mike Hilton. And they went and got Von Bell, you know what I mean? Like, and then they paid to get him back. Like, they've done things. Now, I think you can criticize him for letting some guys go. Like, was the Jesse Bates thing a mistake? Maybe, but I think this is like a move that shows some urgency for the situation that they're in. And you just hope that Joe can get back on time, because I know the timeline can be tricky with that. We just saw with Brock Purdy, like the chance that these things can recur, it happens, So, you just hope that like you get Joe Burrow back at some semblance of 100% in December. And if you do, and you're still in the race, you've got a fighting chance. And if you get into the playoffs, now all of a sudden you've got one of the top 4 quarterbacks on the planet who's been to a Super Bowl before in the postseason.
Let me make one thing clear before we move on, okay? And for fans who, again, like, I want to underline the importance of this. Fans are like, who cares? It's Joe Flacco, blah, 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 blah. Name me 5 other owners, 5 other GMs who would make this deal when their starting quarterback went down and the team was sitting at 2-3. Name me 5 others.
Yeah.
I don't think there are.
Philly.
I think there's one. Yeah. Right. I think there's one. And that's why I mentioned it. Okay. And the second part of this, why
I think there's here's the other thing. I think it's like, I think it's more than just the money or the pick or what. It's also like being willing to acknowledge you have a problem.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Okay. So I'm glad you brought that up too.
Yeah.
Okay. How many times, and then I'll finish my initial point. How many times do we have a starting quarterback go down, and then the coach treats that as an indictment of himself, right? And is saying, "Oh, well, we like the guys that we have in our room," or, "I prepared this backup quarterback, so we're going to watch him slop it up for the next 8 weeks." No. Like,
Yeah.
it's not right. So we're going to fix it. And the second part of that, Albert, is like, there are coaches that I've talked to around the league that are like, okay, you get into a situation where you say, "Oh, why the hell are you starting that guy in week 8?" Like, how has it gotten this bad? And the answer is always, our owner didn't want to pay more money for a good backup quarterback. You know what
We're
I
at
mean?
budget.
Like,
We're at budget.
it's a budget move. Okay. And
Right.
so,
And that's what a lot of people don't realize is like, it's not monopoly money. It's real money. You know what I mean? Like, and like, oh, they have cap space. Well, did the owner set a budget? You know what I mean? Like, and does somebody have to take this upstairs and explain it? And then when you explain it to your owner, Conor, what are you doing? You're probably acknowledging a mistake you made somewhere else or somewhere where you left yourself shorthanded. So you have to fall on the sword in that way too.
yeah.
I mean, to me, this is the benefit of the owner being the owner and the ownership family being in the building every day too, right?
And a benefit of the owner being a fan of his team. In
Yeah.
this particular case, Mike Brown loves this team and has shown it, even though, okay, there's some begrudging stuff here. It takes a little while to get the contracts done, whatever. That happens all over the place in the NFL. That happened in Dallas, and they lost the best defensive player in the NFL, okay?
Yeah.
So he's getting it done. All I'm saying is, and everybody that can read anything that I've ever written in the history of my work knows that I 1% of the time stand up for owners. I would say back off the Bengals on this one. Like, this is this sensible move. I think it's a sensible thing that they did. I don't know. I'm passionate about this one.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, I'm not gonna have sat here, 2 days ago until everybody who listens to this show heard me do it. Like, I advocated for Kirk Cousins. You know what I mean? Like, so I can't advocate for Kirk Cousins and then say, no, that was dumb. Why'd you trade for Joe Flacco? Like, I think like this is, look, they looked at their options, and
that's it.
I could just tell you, like, they thought Joe Flacco was a better option than Russell Wilson or Jameis Winston. Now, maybe the money comes into play with Cousins. I haven't heard as much on that one, but like, they viewed Joe Flacco as the best option. And that's what's fascinating about this too, is like, I think we all have it in our head. Like, does Cleveland trading him to Cincinnati mean the Browns think he can't hurt them? You know what I mean? Because you're doing that in division. Now,
I think the
it's more
Browns
of a
don't
clearing
care
the
about
decks
this year.
thing, but
I don't think the Browns care about this year. But,
yeah,
it doesn't matter.
Anyway.